Hello everybody. This is Wimbledon week in Great Britain, and I was just looking at YouTube videos and I saw this one about Peter Andre. He's a lovely guy. He of course was married to Jordan or Kate Price for 4 years. At the moment he's bringing out a course of lovely children's books. In fact, he was interviewed, and I've just watched a bit of this interview and wanted to share it with you. He was interviewed on British television called ITV on the morning programme, chat programme called Loraine. Here's a little excerpt.
Things are really good. You were saying you didn't read much. Now, was that just because there weren't books in the house, or was that just because it was a thing, or was it to do?
It was more a religious thing. So we were brought up as Jehovah's Witnesses, and which meant we read the Bible and a lot of books that were within biblical books. So it wasn't really a thing that makes sense.
I didn't know that you grew up as a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
So it must have been like so. Really, things like birthdays and Christmas and celebrations and stuff like that you didn't have when you were small. So making up for it now.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, you know, I always respect and I always say I always love what I learned, because in a time when it was really difficult growing up in Australia, being Greek, and we were kind of in a very beautiful blonde-haired, blue-eyed country. What it was that when you felt outcast, the thing is, when I used to go to the meetings, I used to feel really loved and really protected. So that's why, even though I'm not part of the faith now, I've always said great things about it.
Sure, and you look back with affection.
It did me good.
I understand, really good. I understand. We saw a wee flash of the two oldest.
So Peter Andre, lovely guy. I didn't know he'd been brought up as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. So because he was, you know, he's a famous dancer and singer, and now he's a children's book writer. And of course with his children he's wanted to read them something at night, hasn't he? And it probably took him back to his childhood. And although he was born in Britain, he moved to Australia when he was 6, his parents did. And what he would have been read every night, and he would have learnt to read it very quickly, would have been a book rather like this. Jehovah's Witnesses produce Bible stories, books and all sorts of things for children. For example, the reading is really easy for them, and there's lots of illustrations as well. And because the reading is so easy, they usually start to read and they'll know the words of these stories off by heart, these Bible stories obviously. They'll know them off by heart by the time they're 3. So by the time they go to school, they're well educated. And another thing that Jehovah's Witnesses do in their congregations, that their meeting places are not called churches, they're called kingdom halls. They do a lot of singing. Now, there's an awful lot of famous singers who've come from gospel choirs, haven't they? From that kind of background, because there's singing. There's singing, and of course he was also into performing arts. When he was 14, he entered a competition in Australia. He was the runner-up, and that was singing and dancing. So his family encouraged him. Rather the same, and the winner of that competition, he was the runner-up, was to meet Michael Jackson, who was also brought up as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and he did all that singing and dancing with the Jackson 5. And he really never lost his faith, although obviously he lapsed, as has Peter Andre. But there's lots of very successful people who've found that the background of having a biblical background and being in a loving, caring, religious community has really helped them to be successful. It reminds me, because it's Wimbledon week at the moment here in Britain, it reminds me of Venus and Serena Williams. And obviously they won so many titles, and I remember Venus, Serena would very often say, and I just thank Jehovah for my win and bless him. You know, she always brought out a kind of faith and mentions Jehovah, the name of the creator of the universe. So it's just a point. I know there's a lot of people who've left the Witnesses and they're not so happy, but a lot of the successful people hold their early upbringing in high esteem, because it's really helped them to have a secure start in life. So I'd just like to thank you, and I'll see you again.